So now that you've got all of your tasks in your inbox, how do you actually organize them? This is going to be the third video in my Complete Guide to TickTick series. If you've been following along, you will have already signed up for an account, you will have added some tasks, and you will know how to properly maintain those tasks using the different task elements. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to organize those tasks. How do we use lists? How do we use tags? How do we use sections and folders? But one thing that I want to mention up front is that it's my personal opinion and my personal belief that you should keep your productivity system or your task list as simple as possible. If you can get by with just a single list, that should be what you use. If you need just a little bit more granularity, then that should be what you use. Don't get so caught up in trying to maintain your productivity system with some elaborate categorization scheme that you have. Make it as simple to use as possible. And make it personal to you. Nobody else needs to use your productivity system. In fact, nobody else really needs to even see it. So make it useful to you. Hello, I'm Joshua Best. Alright, so to get started, I've got my TickTick list up. And right now I'm looking at my inbox, which is where I have captured all of my tasks so far. So I've got a wide variety of tasks in this list, starting with doing laundry. I've got a work presentation that I'll get to. I've got some emails I need to send out, one to my manager, one to my daughter's teacher, and just a wide variety of tasks. And so they're all sitting right now in my inbox because that's primarily where I've been capturing my tasks, and I've yet to organize them in any manner. So in this video, I plan to go through and discuss a few different ways on how to organize the tasks. The first way, because I like to keep things as simple as possible, especially with regards to TickTick and in regards to any productivity system, is doing things the simplest way possible. And for you, that might be keeping all of your tasks in the inbox and not dealing with any tags or any folders or anything like that. If you can get by with keeping all of your tasks in the inbox, I say go for it. But TickTick does give you some ways to organize the inbox if you have your tasks in your inbox. So let's talk about it. If I go up to the top, next to the three dots is another icon called the sort icon. And if I click on that, TickTick gives me a couple different ways to sort the inbox. And this is true for any list, but it's also true for the inbox. But by default, I'm sorted by custom because I've kind of rearranged these tasks the way I wanted to right now. But let's say I want to see them by date. I can click sort by date. And now it's kind of organized my inbox into something a little more meaningful. So I can see in the next 7 days, I've got 3 tasks that are coming up. So those might be the ones that I want to look at first. Then later is the next section. So I have one task that's due a little while from now, not this week. And then I have quite a few tasks that don't have any date, so they fall in the no date section. And so that could be one way to sort my inbox and get a little more organized. What other options do I have under sort? I have by title. All right, so if I click by title, that's going to sort my tasks in alphabetical order. I'm not sure why this would be useful to anybody really. Maybe if I had a certain scheme where I was naming my tasks a certain way, maybe with a code at the beginning of the task description, but that sounds pretty complicated to me, and I wouldn't recommend anybody do that, and I wouldn't recommend that really anybody use this sort by title. It just doesn't make much sense, or it isn't much use in my opinion. We have sort by tag. Now we haven't added any tags to these tasks yet, but if we did add tags, we could sort by tag. We can also sort by priority. So I do have some priorities set. Let's sort by priority. So this might be a way to organize your tasks just in the inbox itself. If you happen to set priorities on the tasks that you say are high, medium, low, and no priority, well then you can use the sort by priority to just sort in that manner. So your high tasks are first. So I have take the car for an oil change. That I have set as a high priority. I have project A, and that's also set as a high priority. And project A has a couple of subtasks under it that don't have a priority, but since they fall under project A, which is a high priority, they also show up here. The next section is the medium priority. So anything that I've set as a medium priority falls here in this section. Next is the low priority. Again, anything that is a subtask falls underneath the main task and where that's set. And then we have a final section of no priority, or none. And so those are tasks that we did not set a priority on. All right, so just a few ways that you can get a little more organized right out of the box. Even just using your inbox is by A, using priorities, and B, using due dates on your tasks. The third way would be to use tags. So we might set up a couple of tags. Let's go over to the left side panel to create a new tag, and let's just create 2 tags. Let's create one called work. We're going to go with the default color it gives us, which is green. We're not going to have a parent tag. We're going to go ahead and click save. So now we have a work tag, and let's create another tag called personal. So now we have a personal tag and a work tag, and now if I go back up to my inbox, I can even get a little more organized just by tagging my tasks with either work or personal, right? So take the car for an oil change. If I just right click on that and then say tags, I can quickly add that's a personal task, save it. Project A is a work task. So I'll mark that one as work. Grocery shopping, personal. Presentation is work. And so one way to kind of speed up the process is you can hold down the control key and select multiple tasks. So I'm going to select email my manager regarding the issue, and I'm going to hold down the control key and select finish my spreadsheet analysis and also follow up with Tim on the question. Then over on the right side, it says you have chosen 3 items, and I want all 3 of those items to have a new tag, and that's work. So now I've updated the tag on all 3 tasks at once with the work tag. And I'm going to do the same for these 2 tasks, and I'm going to tag those as personal. All right, so now I have all of my tasks tagged with either work or personal. So now if I want to go back up and use that sort by tag, now I've got it broken out by tag. So up at the top I have personal. Now these tags are going to be sorted in alphabetical order. So since P comes before W, I see the personal tasks first. And I have all of my personal tasks under that section. You might be wondering why I have a medium priority task up at the top and not the high priority task. And that's because by default it sorts by due date. So Go Grocery Shopping has a due date of March 26th. And Take the Car for an Oil Change has a due date of March 30th. So it sorts by due date, not by priority. And if I scroll down, I have all of my work tasks under the work section. Again, sorted by due date, not priority. Another way to just add a little more structure to TickTick so that you can get a little more organized without going overboard, right? Without causing so much administrative work to maintain your tasks that it makes it difficult to keep your task list updated. I'm all about making things as easy as possible and that work for you, right? So, and that might be just using the inbox only, one list, and just using a couple tags, work and personal, and you can quickly get organized by using tags, due dates, and priorities, and that might be all you need to get organized. All right, so that might work for some people, like I mentioned, but it might not work for you, right? Maybe you want a little more structure, a little more organization. Well, that's where lists come in, right? I can use lists to add a little more structure to TickTick rather than using tags. So let me go ahead and create 2 new lists, and we'll call those work and personal as well. I'll hit the plus icon next to the lists, and I'll create a list called work. I'm not going to add any color or anything like that, and I'm just going to click save. So I have the work list, and now I'll add the personal list. Alright, so what I want to do now is just go back to my inbox and add all of those items that were tagged personal. I'm just going to drag them over to my personal list now. And I'm going to highlight all of my work items and drag those over to the work list. And I'm going to get rid of these tags for now, because I don't need to maintain the organization in two places if they are meaning the same thing. If I've got it separated into work and personal using the lists, I no longer need the tags. So now when I look at my inbox, it's empty, right? Because I've moved all of the tasks over to the appropriate list. Now, one reason why this might be useful is because, let's say I've got new tasks coming in all the time. I've got emails coming in that I'm forwarding. I'm on the phone and someone mentions a task. I might just be in my inbox and say, jot down the note from the phone call. And I might have something else come up, right, that says, read about the law that's passing. All right, these are just things that have come up throughout the day, and I've put them in my inbox. And now I know because they're in my inbox, they're not processed. I haven't gone through and maintained the due date. I haven't gone through and maintained a priority. I haven't put them in their proper list. So that's one reason why it might be a good idea to have separate lists for your tasks, to keep your inbox clean and use it for kind of the purpose of the inbox, right? The purpose of the inbox is to capture new tasks until you've had a chance to really process those tasks, meaning put all the task elements on it that you need in order to maintain that task. Things like priority, things like due date, description, all of those things that we discussed in the last video. So then when I come in and sit down and say, okay, I'm going to process my inbox now and make sure that all my tasks are in the right spot and I've maintained them properly, I'll just come in and go through my inbox list. I'll say, okay, well, I need to read about that law and I need to do that before next Thursday, and that's going to be a high priority, and I'm just going to add a little bit of description, and then I can just drag it over to the list, right? That one's been maintained, that's a work item, and now I only have one item in my inbox. So jot down the note from the phone call. This was actually a personal task. It doesn't really have a due date. I'm going to give it a low priority, and then I'm just going to drag it over to my personal list. Now my inbox is clean again because I've processed all the tasks in my inbox. They're in their proper place with their proper task elements assigned to them. And now I'm ready to bring in more tasks, right? Which happens all the time. So the next phone call you take, the next email you get might be a new task, and it'll show up and you can just forward it on into your inbox, and you know that you need to go back into the inbox and process it. Okay, but you might want to get even more granular, right? So if I click into personal, it looks like I've got some, let's see, I've got some like household items, like taking care of regular things like grocery shopping and oil changes. I've also got some recreational things like build a birdhouse. Laundry would be kind of like a household thing. And then something related to my kids, I might separate that. So one way to do that is to go back to using tags, right? I could add a kids tag, I could add a household tag. Kind of the problem with that though is those tags wouldn't be just for the personal list. I mean, you could also accidentally tag something in work as recreational, which wouldn't be good and it wouldn't make much sense. So at this point, I wouldn't categorize things with tags if I've got things in their proper list. But what I might do, if I still like just kind of keeping one list for personal and one list for work, is I might add sections at this point. So if I click up at the top and I click the three dots, there's a couple different options, but one of them is add section. All right, so I might add a section to my personal list. It shows up down at the bottom, ready to type. and I might say household. All right. Now I've got a new section called household, and my other tasks fall in the not sectioned section. Okay, let me create just a few more sections here. So I said kids, and I said recreation. All right, so build a birdhouse. I'm going to drag down to my recreation section. Email my daughter's teacher. I'm going to drag to my kids section. And then these four, I'm going to hold the shift button and highlight them all. And then I'm just going to drag them all, into the household section. There we go. So now I have a little more organization within my personal list, right? I have nothing in the not sectioned. And if I wanted to, I could really get rid of this, right? If I click the three dots next to it, I could click delete. And it says all unfinished tasks will be deleted. And I don't have any unfinished tasks in there, so I'm going to go ahead and click the delete button. And now I don't have that not sectioned section there anymore. And I only have the sections that I want. So I have household, I have kids, and I have recreation. And that's the way I like my personal list set up. So this might be a good way for you to get organized within your lists themselves. One thing I want to point out here is that you can still sort by priority and by due date. Just like we did in the inbox, you can do that in your personal and work lists. So let me just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to sort by priority. All right, now take a look at this. My sections go away when I do this, but you might want to quickly sort by priority to see, okay, what's at the top of my list? Take the car for an oil change. That's the number one task I need to do for my personal responsibilities. But now I want to switch back to my sections again. I mean, where did they go? So if you want to switch back to your sections, go ahead and click the sort icon again and click custom. So the custom sort is the one that's going to have your sections in it. All right, and you could do the same for your work list too, right? You could create different sections based on what you have for your work if you want. And this method of creating sections within your lists still keeps things simple, right? We only have two lists, personal and work, and they've got different sections in them. And so that's easy to maintain. It's easy to kind of see everything that you got going on for your personal life, for your work life, and they're categorized. So you can quickly look, okay, what do I got going on for my kids? I need to email the teacher. And you might be able to switch over to work and say, okay, well, what do I want to look at in this specific section? All right, there it is. And so that works out pretty good for a lot of people. But maybe you want to build even more structure into TickTick, all right? Maybe sections just doesn't work for you, and you'd really want to separate things even further, right? You only want to see kids, you only want to see recreation one at a time. You don't want all this jumbled mess. You know, I can understand that point of view also. And so what you might do in that case is you might create a folder. I'm going to create a new list. I'm going to call this one household. And under the folder dropdown, I'm going to click new folder. And I'm going to call this personal. And click save and save again. So what this does is it creates a folder that contains other lists within it. So my personal list, I'm actually going to right click, edit, and rename this. And I'm going to rename this one, not personal, I'm going to rename it recreation. And then I'm going to add it to the new folder that I just created called personal and click save. And so now that's my recreation list. And I will just highlight the household items and drag those to the household list. I need to create one more list. So I'm clicking the plus button next to the lists. I'm adding the name and I'm selecting the personal folder again, clicking save. All right, I'm dragging my kids item to my kids list. And so now I've got 3 separate lists under my personal folder. So all of my items are separated out. If I just want to look at my kids items, here they are. I've only got one. If I only want to look at my household items that I need to do for the house, here they are. And now maybe I can easily sort by priority or due date, whichever makes the most sense for me inside of that list itself. So just going back to the recreation list, just to clean it up, we still have these sections in here. We no longer need those sections. So I'm just going to click the 3 dots next to each section and click the delete. Okay, so let's go do the same thing for our work list, right? Let's see what's going on in work. Let's see what we got. It's a little hard to organize it, but maybe I'll organize it by saying emails. These are things that I need to respond to or send out. For folder, I click on the drop down. I don't have a work folder yet, so I'm going to click new folder. I'm going to create a work folder, and I'm going to click the save button. So now I have a new folder up here, and underneath it is emails. So what I want to do is click on my old work list and just drag over email my manager, and also follow up with Tim. That's also going to be an email. So I'm going to drag that to the emails list. Okay, I'm going to right click and rename my old work list, and I'm going to rename it Major Projects. And I'm going to click the save button. And did you guys see I forgot to actually select the folder? So I'm going to right click, edit, and this time select the work folder and click the save button. And now the major projects falls under work. All right, my major projects are going to be the presentation and the project A. So I'm going to create one more list, and this list I'm just going to call tasks. And these will be one-off tasks that I have to do. They aren't major projects. I'm going to select the work folder, click save. And now I'm going to click back to major projects and grab read about the law that's passing, and also finish the spreadsheet analysis. And now drag those over to my tasks folder and work. So now I have both my work and my personal separated with separate folders. And under each folder is lists that separate out my personal and work tasks even further. So if I only want to look at my major projects for work, I can pull up my major projects lists, and that's all it lists. And again, I can sort by priority here. So if I want to see my highest priority up at the top, which is project A for me, and my medium priorities below that, which is my presentation that I have to do. And I just want to point out that if you need even more granularity than this provides, and you don't want to create a new separate list, you can still create sections within these lists. So if I click the three dots, you'll notice that I don't see add a section like I did before, right? Why is that? That's because I'm sorted by priority. Remember, you have to go and sort by custom. Then you can have sections. So now I click the three dots and I can add a section if I wanted to. All right, I'm not going to add that section. If you really like organizing your tasks, or if you have so many tasks that it's necessary to add even more structure to it, we can use all three, right? We can use folders, we can use lists, and we can use tags. One thing I will caution against is doing this if you don't need to, right? Because in my opinion, it's best to use the least amount of structure possible in order to keep things moving, in order for TickTick not to become a burden, but rather a useful tool. Use the least amount of structure possible. That's my opinion. But for some people, it might be necessary, right? So there's different ways that we can use tags in these scenarios, right? So I'm going to go down and create some new tags. One way to use tags is to identify the amount of effort that it will take, right? So we can create three tags. We can create a low effort, and blue looks good for that. We can create a medium effort, and let's stick with orange to kind of follow the TickTick priority. And let's create one more, which is a high effort, and we'll color that one red. So now I can go back up to my lists and tag things as either high effort, medium effort, or low effort. So build the PowerPoint deck. That might be a medium effort for me. Preparing might also be medium. Giving the presentation, that's going to be a high effort for me, so I might tag that one as high. And send out the recording, that's going to be a low effort, just to find the recording and send that out. Let's go ahead and go through the same process for Project A. Get the details, that might be low as far as effort goes. Make a plan might be medium. Start on the project, let's call that medium as well. produce the output that's going to be the tough one, so let's call that a high level of effort, and wrap up the project will also be low. All right, so this adds even more level of detail to your tasks, right? So now when I'm in TickTick, I can come to the work folder, I can go to the specific lists, I can go to major projects and see all of my major projects that I have going on. And beyond that, I can even see the level of effort that I think each of these tasks will take me. And so that's one way to use tags. Another way to use tags might be to identify the amount of time that you think it might take you. So maybe instead of low, medium, high, we have something like this. I'm just going to edit the tags that I already have. So I might say 5 minutes. So I'm getting a little bit of an error message here. It says a tag name cannot contain a space. So I'm just going to call this 5min with no space. I'm going to save that. Medium is going to take, let's say, 10 minutes to 60 minutes. And high will take 60 plus minutes. So now I've got my tasks organized by time duration. And so this might be useful, right? If, let's say I've got 10 minutes before my next phone call, that means I could do any of my 5-minute tasks. And if I want to quickly see all of my 5-minute tasks, I can click on the tag list down here, 5min. And this tells me all the things that I've tagged that should take me 5 minutes. So maybe I can quickly get the details within that 10 minutes that I have before my next call. So you might be asking, well, how does this duration that we're using as a tag differ from the duration that we saw on the due date, right? So if I click up here on date and reminder, remember there's a duration tab. And if I click over on duration, what this is doing is this is really asking me for a specific date and time. So it's like, if I want to do this March 24th from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, right? Which is different than tagging my tasks with how long I think it'll take to do, so that I can do them at any point during the day or week that I happen to have that amount of time. So both are useful, but they're slightly different, right? So that's one way that I've seen people use tags, is by tagging the amount of time that they think it will take. One question you might be having at this point is, what exactly is the difference between using a list and using a tag to organize your tasks? And one of the major differences between a list and a tag is that a task can only belong to one list, right? So if I'm in major projects and I've got my presentation task in major projects, it can't also belong to emails. And it can't also belong to kids. It can only belong to one list, which is major projects right now. Now I can move it between lists, but I can't add it to more than one list. With tags, you can add more than one tag to your task item, right? So if you're familiar with GTD, you might be familiar with using contexts as tags. So I'm going to come down here to the tag section and click the plus icon to create a new tag. And this tag I'm going to call contexts. All right, I'm going to click save. Bear with me for just a minute. All right, I'm going to click the plus icon again to create another new tag. And this tag I'm going to call phone. So contexts in the GTD world are where do you need to be at, or what do you need to have in order to complete the task. And so phone might be a context because you might need to have your phone and be on your phone in order to make a phone call. And so if you have phone call as one of your tasks, you might tag it as the phone context. So notice here that we can put a parent tag. So that's the reason why I created the context tag right before this. I'm going to click context as my parent tag and click save. A parent tag is similar to a folder for a list, right? So I have contexts, and underneath context, I have phone. And let me add another context, right? So it might be office. And I'm going to select the parent tag context and click save. And so now I have two tags under my contexts, phone and office. And let's just create one more. Home. And I forgot to select the parent tag, so let me just click the edit. And I can go back and select context. And so now it falls under there. Now, one thing that I might like to do with contexts is make them all have the same color. So with the level of effort and the time, I thought it made sense to have different colors, but with the context, I think it makes sense to have them all have the same color. So let me just click the edit and go back in here and select, so let's see, something different than the time durations that I have. Let's go with purple, huh? And I'm gonna make them all purple. Alright, so now I've got all of my context tags with the color purple. I'm going to go back up to my major projects. I still have those tags that list the time duration that I think it will take, but I can also right click and put a context tag on it. So let's say this build the PowerPoint deck, let's say, needs to be... Actually, you know what? I want to create a new tag. I want to create computer because I really don't need to be at the home or the office to build a PowerPoint deck, but what I really need to do is have my computer out. So I can just type a new tag right in this box and say create tag computer. What you'll notice over here on the left side is when I created a tag in that manner, it didn't give me the ability to select a parent tag. So computer is sitting over here kind of tagging itself. I'm just going to drag it down underneath context, and then I'm going to edit it and make it purple. All right, so build the PowerPoint deck. Now I know that I need to have my computer, and it's going to take about 10 minutes to 60 minutes to do. Let's see, give the presentation. I know I have to be in the office for that, so I'm going to tag that as office. Send out the recording. That also, I need to be on the computer for that, so I'm going to select computer. And for prepare, I'm going to select computer for that as well. So I'll select the computer tag. And so now you can clearly see under presentation, here's where I need to be or what I need to have in order to complete the task. And here's also the time duration that I think it will take. All right, so at this point we've covered kind of the major ways to get organized within TickTick and structure your lists and structure your tasks. I did want to show you one other thing that's a little bit fun, and I think this video is as good as any to show you, that you can add a color identifier to your lists as well, just like we did on the tags. Now, in order to do that, you just right-click on a list, click the edit. Right under the task name is the color, and you can select the color from here. Now, I've already updated my personal lists with blue, and my work lists now all are with green. And you'll notice the green dot next to the work lists and the blue dot next to the personal lists. And also, since I'm on a work list, you'll notice that there's a green line running down each task that falls into that list as well. Now, where this might be useful is if you find yourself clicking into a tag that has tasks from multiple lists, right? So some are personal, some are work. So let me click on computer. So these are different tasks that I can do while I'm on the computer, and you'll notice that the green ones running down here are work, and I have a blue one down here, and that's personal. And it also separates it by list, right? So I got my work tasks list. I also have my work major projects and my personal list of kids. And so that might be useful and help you get a little more organized within TickTick. One other kind of fun thing I wanted to show you is that you can also add an emoji to your lists. So if I right click on a list again and click edit, there's 3 dots next to the name of the list, and you'll notice when you hover over it, it turns into a face. So you can actually click that, and you can select an emoji to kind of help you represent that list. So maybe it's a thumbs up. It is kind of hard to see the different emojis here on the Windows app. You will find that the mobile app might be better to update the emojis if you want to update emojis for your lists. But I click the thumbs up here, and I'm going to click the save, and now you'll see the thumbs up show up next to the tasks list anytime that I see the task list. So here I'm in the computer tag, but I also see the thumbs up next to the tasks list name here. You can do the same thing with a folder. So if I wanted to update my work folder with an emoji, I can click the edit button and I can select an emoji here next to the name. So maybe it's just a smiley face for work. And so that's kind of fun and kind of helps you identify things. You know, I've seen people where, you know, maybe they do schoolwork and so they put a book as the emoji. Maybe they're involved with the church, so they put the church emoji, or, you know, whatever the case may be. It makes TickTick maybe just a little bit more fun and maybe a little less boring. Well, that wraps up this video. Hopefully you caught a few tips on how to get organized a little better in TickTick. Maybe make TickTick a little more colorful and fun. I'll mention again, make your TickTick system usable for you. Whatever that may be. If that's having one list, if that's using tags, if that's using lists and folders, by all means, do it that way. Well, thanks for watching. Have a good one.